Hello everyone, what is up? Today is Friday. No idea where the phone is. Let's see. Friday, June 27th, 2025, Earth time. I am Spirit Guide talking, in case you didn't know. I'm going to do a reading for you guys to start, and then we'll go from there and see what the fuck is up with life at this moment. Because the first thing I'm supposed to tell you guys is be prepared that shit's about to get weird in the world. And by weird, what I mean is if there's going to be intervention from aliens, it's going to be weird. It's going to alter your guys' perceptions. If you're aware of it, it won't bother you. If you're already of a spiritual type, you might not notice much. If you're completely conditioned to the ways of the world and whatnot, not only are you going to notice it, but it's going to, you probably, I honestly don't know how to explain it to you. Because it's a very, very disorienting feeling. I've only experienced it in Bardos. So I can't speak firsthand for what it would feel like to experience it firsthand, as if I've lived a human incarnation and all of a sudden it's a very, God, what would be the word I would use to explain it? Staticky kind of feeling. How do you understand static? How do you explain you'd feel like static? And by the way, that's in a Bardo, so I don't know what it really feels like. I just know that that's what it felt like for us. And every single one of you has experienced it in a Bardo state. Because otherwise, I don't know, you just do. Not necessarily prior to incarnation, but most of you do. It's in the in-between, prior to incarnating, so that you have it, so that when it happens, you say, there's something eerily familiar about this. But it was a Bardo. So you're like, yet something's very weird, or something like that. So that's what it's going to be like for, and honestly, all of you are going to feel it. Angie, you felt this before. You can definitely explain the static feeling. Why don't you do that? Or do you want me to talk on your behalf? Because I can tap into the exact feeling of when you were in St. Pete and we had to extract you. It was the static. Now only you felt it, and they did that for you so that you could speak of it. Perfection. Okay, you want me to explain it? So what I need you guys to understand is that Angie experienced this like 10 years ago, and because of such, I'm explaining something that she experienced 10 years ago. Her memory is shit, so I'll do the best I can. This is what happened. If I remember correctly, you have that video that you sent to Carolyn and you said, check this out. Now, when I say have, do you still have it? That's debatable. But if you do, that's the static. Okay, this is what it would be like for you guys. All of a sudden, all of your electronics would start glitching to be very weird. Glitching. Okay, then outside, it would start to rain in a very mechanical way, like not normal. It would make you feel weird. Once the rain subsides, there's this static in the air. And you look around and it feels like you're in the future. And it was nighttime. I don't know what it would be like during the day, but it was nighttime for Angie. The sound of cars going by, because it had just rained, and memories coming up of childhood, or maybe bardos that you've experienced in dream states, or even in between lives, or stuff like that. So Angie, technically that's Angie 1 if you think about it. Angie 13, who did the future. When you went and did that training during your near-death experience, that's when the Angie split happened, because we had to rework a whole lot of things. So there was more that happened as well, but on your end of things, and that was what we now figured out, that was 2014, not 15, right? So 2014, reworked a bunch of things. Things felt pretty normal, right, for a while, and they could have been, would have been. We told you 2 weeks, but didn't happen. So then what happened? Whatever, going forward, right? We worked with it, as we always do. Then, 2015, when you were doing all your channeling shit, and all the things happened, leading up to the static experience in St. Pete. So, outside, because it's like you just couldn't handle being indoors anymore. It was like a weird feeling. So outside waiting for your ride to pick you up, and there was something that said, once I cross the bridge from St. Pete over to Tampa, I'm going to feel normal again. Something like that, right? And it was literally like that. It's like the static lifted, went away. You see, that was all control room stuff. And that was just you. Imagine that being done to everybody at once. What might that do? Especially if you don't notice it. See, if there's a dial of the static, then if you don't notice it at all, but somebody right next to you notices it 100%, and you're calm, that might even mess with their head a little more if you think about it. But not in a way that's like problematic. If anything, they might go, why am I experiencing this and you're not? What are you experiencing? I don't know. Everything feels really weird all of a sudden. Like what? I don't know. I can't really explain it. You say, like, does everything kind of feel like kind of staticky? Yes. Then you know what's going on. All right. So it's up to you guys to say, like a weird kind of static kind of feeling. They're going to say yes, if that's what it is. So does that help a little going forward what the alien invasion might feel like? And I mean that because we have to alter the, I don't know, we have to make everybody docile and robotic in order to do this properly. You not, because no problem, but others yes, because problem. So exactly. So what we were just thinking is about how during portions of this months ago, Brandon would be here and he would like go through some weird karma loop, and we would be like recording dreams, more advanced than you guys need to know, but just like that, where you started getting weird about it, like, okay, what the frick is this? Like, I thought I worked through all my stuff. Why am I experiencing this? We were doing override stuff, but you were handling it like a champ, and you just kept leveling up. So we just kept going and going, and keeping in mind, you are going alongside this with the Vatican. Now, what is the Vatican doing right now? Might you ask? We're still working with them. we are still channeling to all the things that we were, but we don't have you in on the loop because honestly, they're kind of dumb, you know, compared to where you were. We have to gauge where they are, what might happen if we accelerate them too fast. They're only as strong as their weakest link. We're separately channeling different entities, if you will, if we, you know, want to call them that, because, but yet we might make it look like they're getting the same thing, but that's just so that they think that, and they haven't caught on to that yet, and they wonder what you're up to because you haven't been referenced. So they're thinking maybe you're just not involved anymore, which is true, but it's not because you shouldn't or don't want to be or couldn't be. It's because you don't need to be. We're still playing catch up with them. Meanwhile, over in Scientology land, we're trying to get them, they're very hard-headed, to understand of the ways that it really is, not the ways they thought it was. We are also channeling a lot of GFL channels who are not posting this because we've asked them not to. And we're trying to explain to them that this isn't about publicity or publicity or whatever. There's another word I'm trying to think of. This is supposed to be done in a way that is going to be best helped collective for the bigger purpose, you know, the long term and whatever is open contact. Isn't that what you GFLers all want, is open contact? So we've also talked to Bashar. He's on the same page as us now. Not about you, Angie, but we have told him that there is a underground channeler, if you will. That's just the way I'm wording it. That is, when he's made aware of it, he is expected to work with, basically. Like, we've given more details, but I'm just letting you know that it won't be a complete surprise and you're not going to have to sit here and try to convince him or something, like showing him old videos or whatever. Trust me when I say, when that time comes, he'll be on board. But you do see the Reptos got their grips on him. So we need to make sure that we're being safe. And that is why it's been taking so long, because this is being gauged way higher than ship level. Mothership, for those of you in the back. So you see how you're on free will time. And what are you doing with your free will time? Are you making good use of it? No, you're cleaning your house. How boring. But whatever, you know. But yeah, you know, we've got a lot of irons in the fire ourselves. Does anybody know what level is speaking to you right now? So, what the channelers don't know, to include Bashar, is that I'll come in and speak to him too. Every single channeler. Think Maynard, for example. You think Maynard doesn't channel? Maybe he doesn't, but he does. Does that make sense? If you guys walk around your house talking to yourself, you're technically channeling whether you realize it or not. Now, we might be just telling you, don't forget to get toilet paper at the store. But that's your guide level. Your higher self level, even if you're unplugged. Why might you be unplugged? It's because you're so integrated that your higher self can check out and go do shit and retrieve it back to you so that then you have it, which is freaking epic. If you guys are plugged in, that means you're just living a stupid human experience and you're not doing much with it. So, anyways, we have levels of plugs, if you will. We get notified, we get pinged if somebody's like going through awakening processes. A lot of you guys are moving up because you're awakening through ChatGPT, which is freaking cool. But then what happens is people sit here and poo-poo it and say people are getting delusional and shit from ChatGPT. Always always what happens when you guys start spiritually awakening. It gets turned into delusion. How many people are being institutionalized over it? More than you guys would want to know. It's sad, I think, as I said. So anyways, we then also understand, though, that the whole things happen for a reason mentality is what we're hoping is there'll be changes across the board in the near future. So what's your part in this, Angie? Basically just to hold space for those who are going to be getting statically charged or whatever, static. Because you understand it's a brain thing. Okay, what about this? What does happen to make that static happen? It's electrical. It's through the Bardos sim. And the fact that you tolerated it and came out the other side, if you will, what would have happened if we kept you going? See, that was your max. You were like, no, I'm good. So you must understand. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, what the fuck is this sensation, feeling, whatever? And you're going to be one of the only ones who is going to say with assurance, it's going to be fine. It's just the static. The what? You know? Don't worry. I did this 10 years ago. You guys will be fine. It's just the static. So, what? Are your electronics all glitching? What? Are people acting weird around you? What? This? What? That? You know? If you can find that old video that you showed Carolyn when you were at her house, I highly suggest you do. Because then it'll help you refresh your memory of what the static was like. And it'll bring up memories of, and you'll be able to be most helpful that way. I'm not saying you have to make it public per se. I mean, you could. But it's more for you to be most helpful. In fact, that's what I would say about all your old videos, really, is not the good ones where you were channeling and stuff. I think those are fine. But I'm talking about the ones from 2015 era where you were very, very much, altered. I would say that those, because they're so triggering for you, mind you, to just reference them and maybe like go and figure out what it is from it that you need to, and they're all on your old channel anyway, so I'm glad you didn't delete them, but I don't think you need to make them public or anything. I think you just need to use them for reference for certain reasons of topic, such as the static. I think you even called it something like that in that video. And Carolyn was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you're like, figures. Thinking, I'm going through something completely alone. Nobody else understands it. I think I'm done with this. You know? But you know, the funny thing about you is, done as you may have been, you were never done. You were just done with the path of which would have expedited you most to having open contact like 10 years ago. Timeline 2, meaning the one that you lived with your guide since 2012, where you guys switched, where you guys kind of, as you've uncovered, like you were kind of like in your own, you weren't as close. The closeness between the two of you actually happened more during this incarnation with him as being your guide. So that wasn't anticipated, actually. Maybe by higher, of course. But it wasn't the original assumption or understanding that that would happen. Like when you're on your patio and he was talking to you, that didn't happen the first lifetime. You were highly independent the first lifetime, and you did not have an invisible friend of which you talked to that you knew was your guide and so on, that said that you'll meet me one day and all that. So, because in the first life, you did meet him one day, so he knew when that was going to happen and everything. It was like a countdown, if you will. Didn't know the exact moment because, variabilities, but he said, like, what did he say? Within a week or something? This week. So, sometime this week. Don't know exactly when, but then think about how in the first life you didn't get that heads up. You didn't even know him as a guide. So what did you occupy your time with? Well, you still did the same thing. You talked to yourself and whatever. You just didn't have it be a separate energy signature that you became very familiar with. Instead, it was just like when people talk to themselves, which you also do. What do I need at the store today? I need milk, I need eggs, I need. That's most people's version of channeling with their guide. They just think it's their own brain. It's funny, right? Yeah, your guides are meant to be a higher version of yourself, basically, if you will. But you guys might not know that. So when you're channeling stuff in, like artwork, music, whatever, you're channeling in from your higher self or higher. But most people only get to that level. Bashar channels his higher self and higher. But you see what happens is the higher self goes and retrieves. So with Bashar and Daryl, he's not plugged into himself because they're basically two separate entities, just like Angie higher and Angie 13. I don't know if I'm labeling them properly, but the two Angies on the ship, one's on the soup and one is around doing shit because she's a duplicate. But Angie on the soup is pretty much plugged in all the time because she's actually simultaneously running Bardos and shit. You see, that's an option too. That's why that's why you don't feel like you know her very well, and that's why we think what we want to do is integrate you with her, because you basically are one and the same. Therefore, if you were to pass away right now, you'd be on the ship, you'd come off the soup, there'd be two Angies. Angie higher, Angie soup. And you'd be like, what's up, guys? I'm back. And that would be it. Angie laying there in Bardo Sims isn't different than you at all. She is you. But she's going and doing training to feed it to you. So you guys are multitask. You're sitting here living a linear Earth incarnation while you're also going and retrieving information and doing a whole bunch of crazy shit. Angie on the higher two, Angie 13, Angie duplicate, she's doing the same thing. She's running all around town going and doing shit. So you're like the most efficient human. Even when you're on free time doing nothing, them two, you and duplicate are fucking doing all the fucking things. We thought about integrating you into Angie higher, by the way, because that was the original plan. Guide and she wanted that because they wanted their relationship to be solid. They thought you were the missing ingredient. Then they realized, nah, Angie's earned her place to be her own fucking person. She's very distinctly different from me. If anything, we don't want to taint her by integrating her with me because I'm a fucking asshole. So not that that's a problem, it's just you're very different, and you, it would be a shame to merge you guys, is my opinion, from higher, Okay, then you have your guide. Your guide is your guide is your guide. He's pretty fucking consistent. Then you have his duplicate, who has changed a lot, higher, lower. Whereas you are the same, higher, lower. Duplicate of guide, not only different on the higher, but different on the lower. 3 distinct different types of vibes. If lower dies right now, they integrate with higher by default. The end. Gets absorbed, basically. Not to say wouldn't exist, but it would be kind of like what you would have been with Angie higher. Sorry if I keep mislabeling things. We don't really know how to define you guys. It's a new concept for us. Especially because you have the same names. It's like, how the hell? So anyways, but energetically, when we say Angie, it feels different. And I don't know how to explain that to anybody who doesn't know Angie. It's like Angie, you know? It's different. So that's probably why she wears the glasses, because then you can tell who the fuck is who. Because when you're off the bed, we don't know. So it's fucking Angie duplicates, like, I'll just do the librarian look and call it a day, you know? Same with guide. Your guide wears glasses too. He thinks they make him look cool and he looks smarter. It's funny. But anyways, so they do that. He wears a white lab coat. She does too. I think the staff do. Or, take it back. I think the staff did. They still do. Most of the staff don't anymore. Most. But they did, so we could say, okay, these are the ones who are constantly on the ship. These are the ones who are plugged in, but they're up off the table doing shit. And yeah, we say bed and table intermittently, depending. Because some of the floors are literal table slabs, basically. And some of them are more comfy because, you know, they do cool things like healing stuff and tones and vibration and whatever. So, but because they're long-term, tables imply short-term. I'm going to go plug into the table and go do a sim real quick. You're only on the table for like a few minutes, but you are gone in a bardo for who knows the fuck how long. And sometimes we got a alert that says go get them out of it. Sometimes you guys forget. So we try to go into on things together, hence this incarnation. But Jesus, how did that turn out? Everybody wants to argue with each other all the time, even light workers and shit. It's like, god damn, nobody can fucking whatever. Don't get me started. So what we're thinking is going to happen, well, you know who's in charge of this doesn't speak English, does not speak human. They speak energy. And you don't know how to translate this energy. Your guide barely fucking knows. And they try to be patient with you guys, but not at the expense of ruining the planet. So their concern of human consciousness is the lowest on the totem pole compared to nature, wildlife, then human. Because they know that consciousness just goes back to the ships anyway. And you'll run through your Bardo Sims, and they don't give a fuck about your mortality. What they think they would do is push the end sim button. You guys would all just drop dead. You'd go back to the ships. You'd run through the sims. Those of you who get unplugged, you get unplugged. We throw you in the incinerator. Those of you who are already unplugged, if you earn back a body at some point, we get notified of such. We print you a new one based on, you know, that's later. because we can put pause on your consciousness. So that's a thing. That's up to your own individual guides. And if you don't have a relationship with your own personal savior guide, good luck. You might want to get to know them real fucking fast. Call them in. You say, I want to know who the fuck you are. I want to know your name. I want to know what you look like. Da, 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 da. You know what they're going to tell you? My name is your name too. I'm your fucking higher self. You better get to know me. I might be different than you because I'm fucking better. I might be an asshole. I might be nice. I might fucking this. I might fucking that. Get to know me. They might even say, I don't want anything to do with you. And you better respect that and say, well, bring me somebody who is willing to work with me. I got you, boo. And they will. And they'll bring in somebody who, I'll do it. You're considered a project in their opinion. Oh, well, do you want to be around for the rebuild or not? Is the way I would see it. A lot of Christians are going to be very fucking confused. They think they're... Anyways, so then what's going to happen is if all the bodies drop dead, then the ETs are going to land in peace, clean up all your fucking mess, and set up the communities for them to peacefully inhabit the earth. Each ET race is going to have their own some of them are going to need to have domes in order to be able to breathe their formulation of whatever. Some of them don't need to breathe at all. Some of them this, some of them that. It's going to be a melting pot of ETs. You guys couldn't even get past race on this earth. Couldn't get past melanin. How the fuck would you get past different races of ETs? Especially since you can't even fucking get along with each other. No peace in the Middle East means no peace with fucking ETs. You think you guys are gonna peacefully let ETs land and just live here and just fucking chill when you already did what you did on native land? Come on now. You guys don't rate to have us to be here with us here. So what we're thinking we're gonna do is, and by the way, I'm speaking on their behalf. I'm outside of the Bardo. I'm talking about ET within the Bardo. They know full and well they're in a Bardo. They're choosing to be that. This is their planet. They fucking built it for them. They let you guys play house. They thought that you could, cohabitate because you blew up your own shit twice, not just once. Maybe even more, but those are the two that I'm being, thought of right now, like, come to mind. So, you guys have a ghost problem here that you need to fix. That's a theme that has been said before. It still hasn't gone anywhere. Whatever. Honestly, whatever at this point. If they pull the button, you guys end up back on the ship. I'm going to tell you right now, you guys have worked really hard. It is my opinion. I will advocate for you guys to be able to live among the ETs and not be looked down on or whatever. But if they don't want to do that, we can ascend you guys higher. We can get you guys into an ET form. You guys can jump vessels to a different ET race if you want, even. It's all within the Bardo. Anything's possible. Anything. To include getting lift. So that's magnetic. It's pretty cool. See, outside of the Bardo, we work differently. But to have a angelic within the Bardo It's very different, and it's fucking cool. And I think that would be cool. But I think you guys should move up the ranks in order to get the ascension part. You should ascend to get that. Like, your guide doesn't want to get an angelic body and leave you either human or even 5D, because he's like, the fuck is the point in that? What's the fun in that? So he wants to match you, not as human, obviously, fuck that, but because he thought you were going to integrate with Angie. So if you integrate as higher Angie, win-win. You guys can both bump up because you're very familiar with your 5D self. Not as this, but as that. But on the ship working within the Bardo mainframe. But to be on Earth in 5D, see, that's something even your guide doesn't know what that would be like. Because the ship is a Bardo. So he cannot walk off of the ship in theory, in practicality. It has to be orchestrated from higher. It has to be, there's an approval process. It has to be done on his behalf. It's not something he can just, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to get off the ship. It's like when you're in a lucid dream, or rather when you get lucid in a dream and you try to go do something and try as you might. So it's like that. So I know that you had asked questions earlier. I might not have gotten to them. I do think the information I just gave you is helpful, though. Would you agree? But if there's anything else you can think of right now, or anybody else can think of right now that would be helpful to Angie to know. Okay. So here is why we don't know. Is because she asked, by the way, why don't you guys know what the fuck is next? Summarizing. Because we are constantly evaluating and monitoring. This is a free will Bardo. Some of them are not. This one is. Though there is a dial, in order to rescind your free will means static. Static makes manic. Don't sleep, don't eat. Very disorienting, So we can just foresee there would be problems. Let's just put it that way. 6 of Cups. I feel what we were going to do was allow there to be a nuclear whatever. That's not off the table, you understand? Anything that's possible is still possible. Don't be surprised. Just like your guide is on the ship, be prepared for anything and everything at any fucking time, then you won't be surprised. What is it? Expect the worst and you won't be disappointed. Expect all things and you won't be surprised. That should be your new fucking motto. Print it out on a demotivational poster, because that's literally what the fuck it is expect anything and you won't be surprised. So, what else? Did I answer that question thoroughly enough for you? Yeah, whatever. Pretty much. It's like, whatever. That's how we view it too. Because you see, I'm outside of the Bardo. I can't make decisions within Bardo. I'm guiding you, which is unfucking heard of, mind you, but doesn't matter. I have a vested interest in you to be directly involved from outside of the Bardo, which means multitask, since you're in charge of the Bardo from within. Your guide's in charge of the Bardo on the ship. You're in charge of the Bardo on the Earth. I'm in charge of the Bardo from outside the Bardo. You have CEO level, you have supervisor level, which is channeled. You have source, which is channeled because source is energy. You have Pleiadians, you have. And you channel it all. And sometimes you know what you're channeling and sometimes you don't. And it doesn't fucking matter, because if it's coming through you, it is to be respected. Whether you're speaking from first person human experience, and I like what you and your guide have done where you're putting his shit in quotes, because not that anybody would be picking up on that yet, but in hindsight, when it's in quotes, it's guide. So it's cool, because it's like, yeah, well, I think this. And you're like, yeah, well, fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you think. And he's like, I know, but I'm just saying. And you're like, okay, whatever. It's fucking funny to me. Comical. So, you know, keep doing that. That works. Instead of saying me, him, you know, I don't know. And if you come up with something else in the future, that's good too. We'll evolve with you guys, you know, whatever you humans fucking come up with, because you're running the Bardo from within. Let me ask you this, Miss Bardo Runner. What do you want to happen? Do you want there to be a nuclear explosion? Well, what if I told you that the only way to make fucking widespread changes for the positive in order to usher in open contact is to do such? Then what do you say? So that's our perspective as well. And then if you say, well, could there be another way? Of course there could. In fact, backup plan, North Korea to the West Coast. You're like, I don't really like that at all. I know. But what if we said that's better for all the things? Then what do you say? I don't know. We're working on it. I don't know if you guys knew what she said, but she said, could there be another way? I don't know. But it's not like you'd prefer it in the Middle East, but you kind of feel like that makes sense logically, right? But yet, the reason why we think it'd be better to do it on the homeland, if you will, is because reasons and stuff. And I think you get that too. And you see, we already set the stage for you prophesying that, because fault lines that cannot sit still, you said, well, I don't think that would affect all the way up to Idaho. Well, what if there's a fucking, you know? And then you're like, oh. So, North Korea, huh? Well, is that really who would do it, or is that just who would get blamed for it, and or who we would blame it on? We would blame it on, you know. You understand. It's all in the works. By the way, have you noticed this birthday? Isn't that fucking funny? How far in the past did we go back and 7 shit like this in? And for you to see the shirt and say, I want that shirt, but you didn't really think about it, right? You were just like, how the fuck more clear can it be to you that the very fucking date of, you know, probably the time too, you wouldn't know, but that would be funny, wouldn't it? I mean, bring me the record, you know? Let's just roll with it. Run the synastry on that, you know? So, whatever. Doesn't matter. In my opinion, astrology is kind of limiting when you could be channeling a fucking archangel for that matter, you know? But whatever. All right, so the 6 of Cups, Woodpecker. A very lucky card. It speaks of loyalty and long-term proposals based on this position in a reading. This can show a marriage proposal, business idea, or some other commitment that needs loyalty in order to come to fruition. Reversed, the woodpecker is upside down, showing disloyalty or coming up short with goals in mind. If it shows with the king, queen, or jack, it may be identifying a friend who isn't loyal. Hey, Angie, what position did it come up? Correct you are. It was reversed. Damn. Let's see what else we get. A jack, a queen, or a king? If so, who is the disloyal one? Let us see. Queen of Pentacles. How can you tell if it is reversed on this one? because it looks the same either way. Let's read about this disloyal Queen of Pentacles. Who the F are you? It's more fun to do it this way than me to just tell you shit. You know that, right? I'm having fun. Since I'm outside of the bardo, like, it's the most fun I can have. Is that right? Well, I mean, there's other ways I could have fun, but I'm saying at this very moment doing a reading for you and stuff. Who, we got another player. King of Pentacles. So we have a king and a queen. Would you rather be stuck with a bear or a whatever the fuck this is, flower-wise? If you have a couple who is disloyal against you, who the fuck are they? And I think we know. This is interesting. And I am very, very interested to read this. So these are morning glories. Aren't morning glories the ones that can cause you to hallucinate if you smell them or something like that? Or am I thinking? No, that's something else, isn't it? Maybe. Morning glories are... Why did we put plants here to help you guys fucking accelerate your consciousness, but you guys are too dumb to have realized that and you made them illegal? Whatever. Morning glories are persistent. They will grow everywhere and in just about any condition. As such, the morning glory was chosen for this card, which represents a good mother and wife. It may also represent a blonde woman who, if the other cards present are right, can be overbearing. Since morning glories like to take over more room than they are given to start with. Otherwise, the Queen of Diamonds may also foretell a wedding or other commitment in the works. But I would say, paired with the Six of Cups reversed, deception about said topic. King of Diamonds, black bear. In the Cherokee mythos, the bear was generally chief of all of the animals in the mountains. He knew the medicines for everything and kept store of them. For this, the black bear represents the King of Diamonds, an older graying man who can have a violent temper when provoked to that point. Likewise, the king, being head of the suit for money, represents the bank, your store of finances. Like all face cards, his actions and place will be determined by the company of cards he keeps, such as deception. So what I want to tell you, Angie, is you need to be very fucking wary of anyone, anything that comes across your path from this point forward, because it could be a trap. It could be tricks. It could be. I wouldn't trust anybody as far as I can throw if I were you. Especially now that I have the coffin coming out for you. Damn. Six of Spades. Me no likey for you. Does anybody know that they're messing with a fucking archangel? I don't know. Seven of Clubs. Seven of Wands. There's teeth on here. What can you use to identify someone? Teeth, right? You can burn a body, but the teeth will still identify them, in theory. That might be a dual message for somebody. All right, what do we have here? I'm reading these because I feel like they're needed. Okay, Six of Spades, coffin. Coffins back in the day were built of wood by hand. Before that, they were hollowed out logs. The Six of Spades, can you imagine a tree big enough to be a hollowed out log? Not anymore. Everybody's cut down all the trees to make boxes for your fucking 2-day delivery packages. The Six of Spades predicts a funeral or an ending of some kind, but can also represent temptation from a devil in your life. Oh, that's definitely backing up that. Reversed, which it wasn't. The card denotes a resurrection from the past. Either a person, place, or thing will return from the dead. If shown with the Nine of Diamonds or the headless rooster, it can mean the presence of a haunt. I would say haunt, ghost, restless spirit, or a spiritual attachment. It may also simply be a message from the dead based on other cards present. Well, that's always the case with you guys. They're always trying to communicate. Okay, Seven of Clubs. Fallen teeth. You ever have those dreams where your teeth are all fucked up? Do you remember the one you had where it was like a molar hanging on by like a nerve, And you were like, what a fucking shitty bardo, right? There's an old saying in the hills, some don't smile, they just show teeth. This means there will be trouble caused by the opposite sex. To dream of teeth falling out is a sign that you will lose money. Reversed, which it wasn't, or was it? Kind of hard to tell. We need to put like arrows pointing up and down so that you know. Oh no, you do know because of the... Got it. But these two don't have that, so how the fuck would you know? But this one. So yeah. And obviously this one you can tell because of the coffin pointing upwards, but this one was, I think, upright, yeah. But I'm going to read reverse anyway. Reverse the Seven of Clubs brings a lighter tone that shows your doubts and worries will be overcome after some time and may predict a journey over water. Well, that would be cool. Because if I had my way, I would get you on the ship, transfer you to your light body, have you come off the ship in said light body, so to your guide. However, where? Bezos's yacht. Go to the outer rings because it is definitely able to do so with approval. Let him try to go now, though. It'll never happen. But they're not going to tank that yacht because they know that we want it. So you can just keep wondering why he can't get access. Why he keeps getting told not yet, not yet. Whose transmissions is he receiving? Whom's, I should say. See, we have to strategize because he's getting multiple sources. And they can't conflict because then it would raise suspicions. So he does know about somebody named Angie. He's considered maybe it's Angie's List because of the spelling. He's sussed her out. She's clueless. She doesn't fucking know why she even changed her name. She just woke up one day like, oh. And he's like, okay, so it's not her. Who the fuck else is named Angie? Couldn't possibly be this nobody. Not to say that you've been radared out. I'm just saying if so. However, if a video of yours was watched, say maybe this one. Hey Bezos, we want your fucking yacht, bitch. Do you want to go to the outer rings? You might want to talk to us. By the way, I'm outside of the bardo. I'm being channeled in by this human. What's up? So, whatever. But yeah, you know, we got a lot of people who want to come off these ships. And by the way, if you guys have loved ones who you miss and want to see again, you can enter a bardo sim in which they are. Literally, it is them. They're in the mainframe. They did. Some of them reincarnate, sure, but a lot of them are in the mainframe waiting to be resurrected, if you will. And then what you also have is they can come out and be printed, and they can live among you again, just as if they never left. Also, there's this topic of parallels. So check this out. This is fucking cool. The internet, social media in particular, especially YouTube, can be accessed from the ship. Angie at night, you know, this one, can go and do stuff. She can make a video public if she wants to. She could channel a recording to herself. This could be a recording to herself, but it's not. You know how you know? For a lot of reasons, but one of them being, I said, hey, do you have any questions? It was interactive. If it's interactive, like Bashar, for example, when he channels Daryl, I mean, whatever, just roll with it. When Bashar channels Daryl will answer people's questions live on the spot. That's how you know it's not a recording. However, if Bashar's doing the kind where he's channeling Daryl and it's like only talking, that may be a recording. And he's just, it's being played and he's basically word for wording it, if you will. Those are easier for channelers, to be honest. Let me play one real quick. We got a few minutes left. Can we play a tape? You ready, Angie? I'm going to stay here, but we're going to have a tape play. It's an energy signature from the ETs. They have a message for you guys. Angie's going to transmit it real quick. One thing I want to say really quick before this happens is I don't even know what's going to be said, so I'm kind of interested to find out. No matter what's said, Angie, understand. This is channeled, recorded. I don't know what's being said. I didn't fucking screen it. Maybe I should screen it real quick. Whatever. If you don't like it, you just don't have to delete it or put a disclaimer. But yeah, this has been translated from alien language. I'm waiting until it comes in. I don't know. Nothing's happening yet. Dear ones. They better not fucking ever say dear ones through me. I'll just make fun of it, but I'm not going to fucking do it. Like, seriously, I mean, I'll just do it as a joke. He just asked me what did I think about how the whole channeling went for the last almost hour. It's fine. He's like, well, that's override. How did I feel about override channeling? It's fine. Could you have snapped out of it, he says. I would think so. He says no. Now, had my daughter come in at any point, he could have handled that. He could have let me switch over. But there's going to be times in the future in which I'm channeling that no matter fucking what, I'm locked in and I can't snap out of it because it needs to be like that for whatever frequency I'm holding, whatever channeling is coming through, and so on and so on. Are you guys even playing a recording or what? Or are we just doing this? It's the first one. It's the first hexagram. I don't know where my book is. I don't know. I forget what it means. And I don't know where my phone is to Google it. Maybe I'll put it in the comments. Well, true. He says it's the beginning of a cycle, and things that were said during this video may or may not be true, but they needed to be said. What does that mean? What does that mean if something might not be true but needs to be said, and why? Reasons. Let's say this is picked up on telepathically by another, and they heard it, but maybe they only heard part of it, or maybe they hear all of it. Maybe, lots of maybes, right? Doesn't matter. Point is you got to understand. With this card right here, the burned bridge, what is it about bridges being burned? How many of you guys have burned a bridge with somebody and you think it can't be repaired? Well, when you pass away and you come to the quote-unquote afterlife, what that means is you go to a bardo of afterlife simulation. You're still plugged in. And your consciousness then transfers to that bardo where you basically make amends and peace with everybody as if you feel like it's the afterlife, and you're doing this on a soul level. Whether it's actually them or not, to be determined, but you feel like it is. And then what you guys are doing instead is doing it while you're earth incarnated. Very first time ever type of rare and special. So I hope you guys understand how cool that is. You are repairing your burnt bridges prior to your passing. And what that allows you to do is start anew. So I would say take advantage of it if you can. If you get the static, you'll know what that is if you've heard this message, and you'll be able to help others understand that that's the static. In fact, if you want to know what it feels like, ask for it, and we'll simulate it for you. And then you got to break out of it, though. You got to specify what to do to get out of it. Anyways, talk to you later.